Samasambuddham
Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande
Guru
Guru
Paramparam.
Paramparam.
Om Sahana
Om
Bhavatu,
Sahana Bhavatu
Sahana
Sahanau
Bhunaktu,
Bhunaktu
Sahaviryam
Sahaviryam
Karavavai,
Karavavai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
ma
Vidvishavahi.
Vidvishavahi. Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti Shanti.
Shanti. Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Shivaya.
So we had completed Brahmananda Valli in the last class, and now we are on the third chapter, Taittiriya Adhyaya, which is called Bhrigu Valli. Now, as I explained in the very beginning itself, the main Jnanam teaching was there in Brahmananda Valli, and this topic, this particular chapter actually, the Bhrigu Valli, it focuses not mainly on Brahma Vidya, but mostly on two areas: the Jnana Sadhanam, the disciplines for Jnanam, and the Jnana Phalam, what is going to be the fruit of the discipline. So, Jnana Sadhanani, use the plural, there are many preparatory disciplines. And why are they important? Because in the presence of these disciplines alone, we can get Jnanam only when these disciplines are there. So that is the main idea. Disciplines are important because without them, Jnanam cannot take place. And then even among these sadhanas, the sadhanani, one sadhana will be directly connected to the knowledge and one will be indirectly connected to the knowledge. So in Sanskrit, we call them sakshat sadhanam, that which is directly connected to the knowledge, and paramparik or parampara sadhanam, that is by way of the parampara. It is not directly connected, it is indirectly connected. So what is the sakshat sadhanam for the jnanam? What is the direct means of jnanam? It is Vedanta Vakya Vichara, inquiry into the Vedantic statements, because that alone will lead to knowledge. Okay. And now, in this particular chapter, the inquiry which is taken up or highlighted is Pancha Kosha Vichara. We saw this earlier also, but inquiry is highlighted over here. And the word used is tapas. And you will find that in this particular chapter, in this particular Valli, this word tapas is used again and again and again. Then there are many other disciplines, the parampara sadhanani, secondary disciplines, like some upasanas are there. Then there are certain vows which are prescribed, vratams are there. So basically, if you look at it as one package, Vedanta Vichara, upasanas, and vratams, the austerities, the vows, these are all jnana sadhana. Among these, sakshat sadhana is the vichara alone, inquiry alone. The upasana as well as the vratams, the vows, the austerities, they are parampara sadhana. Okay, that is as far as the sadhana is concerned. What about the phalam? If someone follows rigorously all these disciplines, he will obtain jnanam. And the benefits of jnanam are jnana phalam. Now, I'd like to point out that this topic is not being introduced for the first time in this Upanishad. It has already been talked about in Siksha Valli. Then, is it not punarukti dosham to talk about it again? Is it not a repetition? We say no, because Vedanta is difficult to assimilate. And if you have studied Vedanta, and then you find that there is no benefit you are getting, that you are finding that there is only information, that there is no transformation, then by virtue of this chapter, Shastram is telling us that the mind is not prepared. And therefore, start addressing the mind also. Start looking at your FIR, start looking at the Chitta Shuddhi. The problem, Vedanta always does its job, provided the mind is adequately prepared. And so if Vedanta has not done its job, then the problem is with the pramata, the listener, not with the pramanam, the shastram, or the teacher, or or Ishvara. Problem is only with the pramata. So Vedanta is faultless. It's come directly from the Lord. It has to be faultless. And so there is a very firm rule being conveyed while studying Vedanta, because it's a long-term study, right? It's not 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. It's a long-term study. It spreads across several years, sometimes 10 years, 15 years. And during that course of that study, Shastram is telling us, please check your minds regularly for FIR. For sadhana chatushtayam, you have to check your mind very regularly. And therefore, this Valli here talks about the value of the preparation. Okay. Now this Valli also has a Shanti Patha. So those who are having the textbook, you will notice that is the same Shanti Patha which we chant every day. Sahanavatu. So we are not going to chant it. But the meaning of this was taken up in the previous chapter and we commented in detail upon there. So chanting also we are not doing because we chant it anyway regularly. And the meaning we are not taking up because we have already talked about the meaning in the last chapter, beginning of the last chapter. Now Shankara summarizes the entire previous chapter while giving an introduction to this chapter. So he says that Ishvara, having created everything from the Akasha onwards to Annam. Annam means the entire Virat world plus Jivas, everything. What did he do after that? Do you remember from what we said in the previous Vallis? Ishvara having created the world, after creating the world, what did Ishvara do? Don't tell me you forgot it. Did he go and have, the local bar and have something to drink? What did he do? Anupravesyam. He decided to enter the world. And we said there, Tadeva Anupravishtam. He entered the world, which means he became the Jivatma. And therefore, that one Paramatma is appearing with many, many Upadhis as several Jivatmas. Right? What is the difference? This Paramatma is Nirgunam by nature. And the significance of this Anupravesha Vakyam is this, that it is to understand that this same Brahman is available in all jivas. So the Anupraveshyam, the entry means that he is actually available everywhere. And therefore, if a person understands that he is Paramatma, once you have understood that I am that Brahman, then the cycle of Punya Papa Karma will stop. Like a roasted seed can no longer produce a plant. Any more karmas which you do are karma abhasa. They will not produce any result at all. And with this, we will enter into the main teaching. Shankara in his commentary does not mention, but in this third Valli, you will find that there is again a summarization of the Panchakosha Viveka. So with this, we'll start Anuvaka number 1. I will chant and you can chant along with me. So please unmute yourself. Bhrigurvai Varunihi.
Om Raviji, sorry to interrupt. Arvind is actually available suddenly.
Yes, okay. Arvindji, can you go ahead, please?
Om
Anuvaka
Raviji.
number 1. Om.
Om Bhrigurvai Varunihi
Varunam Pitaramupasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasma Etat Provacha Annam Pranam Chakshushrotram Manovachamiti Tagm Hovacha Yato Va Imani Bhutani Jayante Ye Najata Nijivanti Yat Prayantyabhisamvishanti Tadvijignyasasva Tadbrahmeti Satapotapyata Satapastaptva.
Thank you, Arvind. I'll mute all of y'all and we'll discuss this particular Anuvaka, the first Anuvaka. Okay. Now, a little background, right? This third chapter, the third Valli, is divided into 10 Anuvakas. And we saw earlier, Anuvaka can be roughly translated as paragraph or section. And if you look at this Anuvaka, Anuvaka number 1, it begins with Bhrigu. And that's from that word Bhrigu, the first word, you will find that the name of the chapter comes, Bhrigu Valli. And in fact, the same logic is there for the first chapter and second chapter also. Now, the teaching here is in the form of Guru Shishya Samvadaha. Right? Now, this should immediately give rise to a question. What is that question? The statement of Vine that the teaching here is Guru Shishya Samvadaha. So, immediately raise a question.
Who is the Guru and who is the Shishya?
Okay, that I'll explain. But the question is another question. Question is that how come how come suddenly Guru Shishya appeared? Because in the first Valli, in the first chapter, the second chapter, there are no Guru and no Shishya. Right? So there are two answers to that question. How is it that Guru and Shishya appeared? The first is an answer which is very obvious, and the answer is that it is Shruti speaking directly to us. Remember that Shruti are the words of the Lord. And therefore, you can take it that Ishvara is speaking directly to us in Valli number 1 and Valli number 2. But some commentators who like consistency, they say that, in Shastra, we always say the most important factor is what? Context. Context is the most important factor, because you will find that the meaning of any word has to be extracted from the context alone, right? And so these sub-commentators say that because of this context here, that there is a Guru Shishya Samvada, and because of the repeated statements across all Vedas saying that you have to study from a Guru only, what is the meaning to be extracted? That the first and second Vallis are also a dialogue between Guru and Shishya. Okay, so that is the second meaning. Whichever meaning you want to extract, it is fine. It makes no difference to the teaching. Right. Now comes the Guru and the Shishya. So, Bhrigurvai Varunihi. Okay. So, Varunihi means son of Varuna. And therefore, Varuna is the Guru and his son Bhrigu is the Shishya. Okay. Where have you heard the word Bhrigu in Bhagavad Gita? All Gita teachers. Where did we hear the name Bhrigu?
I don't remember the verse exactly. Bhrigunam Rishinam Bhrigurasmi.
Yes.
Rishinam Bhrigurasmi, 10th chapter.
Yes.
Okay.
Amongst
them, all the rishis, all the Maharishis, I am Bhrigu. So Bhrigu is considered to be a very great Maharishi. Okay. And Bhrigu is supposed to be what? actually speaking, Bhrigu was supposed to be the Manasaputra of Brahma. He's one of the 7 Maharishis, right? One of the 7 first rishis, Sapta rishis, Bhrigu. Then why does he say Varunihi? Is a good question, right? Bhrigu is one of the Sapta Maharishis. Who are the Sapta Maharishis? The 7 Manasika Putras, 7 sons of Lord Brahmaji, created mentally, Manasika Putras. The first, set of rishis created are Sapta Maharishis. Bhrigu is that. Then comes the question of, if that is so, why does he say Varunihi, son of Varuna? So for this, you have to know some, of the what do you call Shiv Puranas and all that. Do you remember Daksha Yajna? Anybody knows what is Daksha Yajna?
Yes, Acharya. So Daksha was the king. He was the father of Sati.
Yeah.
And he decided to, because he did not like Shiva, so he decided to do the yagna, and he did not invite Shiva. And Sati went over there and he insulted Shiva, and Sati finally destroyed the yagna and gave up her body there. So that was the Dakshagna.
Okay. So more or less, that is what Rinku has said, that Daksha's daughter, Sati, was married to Shiva, and Daksha never liked Shiva. He was anti-Shiva. He was a Vishnu Bhakt. Okay. Narayana Bhakt. So he did invite Shiva, and then Sati was so upset at the fact that when she was present, he again said something derogatory about Shiva, and Sati could not stand it, and therefore she immolated herself in the fire, in the Daksha fire, the Yajna fire. She burnt herself. That's the origin of the word Sati, okay, which the Britishers have translated into something else. But that is the origin of the word Sati, the one who could not stand a husband's insult, and therefore she killed herself. Okay, the story, what happened after that? After she killed herself, what happened? Rinku, since you are up with the story.
Yes, so Shivji came and he started destroying everything. He started performing the dance, and then Vishnuji had to be approached by the other lords. And after that, to quieten him. But beyond this, so when he used his chakra, Sudarshan chakra, and Sati's body was cut into various pieces, and all these are the Shakti Pithas, wherever the parts of the body fell.
And during this destruction, Shiva did a dance. We just call the dance of destruction. What is that?
Shiva
Tandavam is supposed to be that. Okay. And while doing the Tandavam, the Shiva Tandavam is done to destroy the universe. So Pralayam, to invoke Pralayam, because Shiva is the destroyer anyway. These are all Puranas, don't take it at face value, right? So in this destruction, what happened was that, we'll come back to our story. In this destruction, Bhrigu Maharaj, the Manasaputra of Brahmaji, was also invited for the yajna. And in this destruction, he also died. Because when Shiva destroys, it doesn't matter whether you are a rishi or not. So he died. And he was later born as the son of Varuna. So he had 2 births. One as the Manasaputra of Brahmaji, and the second as the son of Varuna. And since the son of Varuna, he is called Varunihi. And therefore, whenever the word Bhrigu is used, or at least in this mantra, when the word Bhrigu is used, Varunihi is being suffixed to indicate that it is not Brahmaji is Manasaputra, but the second birth, where he is born as the son of Varuna. Okay. Not strictly relevant to the teaching, but I thought it's a bit of interesting tidbit. Then, so Bhriguruvai Varuni. Then, what did he do? Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. Now, the word Vai, Bhriguhu Vai. Vai means what? Indeed. Indeed, when used, indicates that this is a event of some significance. It's a important event. And what is important when Varunam Pitaram Upasasara? What does it mean? This Bhrigu, Pitaram, he approached Upasasara, he approached Pitaram, he approached his father Varunaha. And he approached why in a very specified manner, not the English why, okay, this is Sanskrit why. But indeed, he approached in a very specific manner because of what? Shastra says that when you approach your guru for teaching, there is a particular process to be followed. What is that? You go with the sacrificial fuel in your hand and all those things you have to do. And then you prostrate. The whole series of actions to be done when you go to your teacher and ask for knowledge. And the word why here indicates all that. And therefore, this Bhrigu, he goes to his father Varuna and says, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. What does it mean? If you remember Mundaka Upanishad, Hey Bhagavo, O Lord. And this Hey Bhagava means what? It indicates the very crucial elements of a Guru-Shishya relationship, Shraddha and Bhakti. That is why he is saying, Hey Bhagavan, O Lord. And then he says, Adihi Brahmaha iti. Now what does Adihi mean? What does Adihi mean?
Teach me. So Adhihi.
Teach me is the generally taken meaning, but we actually talked about this in Mundaka Upanishad also. What is the Mundaka first? When he asks to teach, what does he say? You remember? Who remembers? Come on, guys. Okay, Adihi literally means please remember loudly. Okay. So saying what? What does it indicate? It's a very beautiful way of asking for teaching, you know. You're not saying that you teach me. You're saying you please just repeat what your teacher taught you. And therefore indicating that it's a whole parampara. That I want to listen to the parampara. Adihi iti. Now what does iti indicate? I have said many times. Brahma iti. What does iti indicate? Where should it be connected to? Where should you connect this word iti to?
Like this.
Okay, it's the end of a quotation, right? So it is an end of a quotation. Anyway, to come back, Brahma therefore, Bhrigu therefore approached Varuna and asked for Brahma Vidya. Right? So the first condition for giving jnanam, which is what? Asking for knowledge, has been fulfilled. Right? And therefore, what is next? Tasma etat provacha annam pranam chakshuhu shrotram mano vacham iti. Okay, so here Shankara, of course, for clarity's sake, that Pita, that Varunam, the father of Bhrigu, what did he do? And here Shankara, adds those words which are an explanation for the word why. He says, Vidivad upasannaya tasmai putraya. You understand? Vidivad upasannaya means what? Upasannaya means having approached. Vidivat means
Proper manner.
in the prescribed manner. Vidhi is the prescription, the mandate. So that father Varuna, Vidivat upasannaya tasmai putraya, to that son of his Bhrigu, who had approached him in the manner prescribed by the Shastram, etat vachanam provacha. So etat, Shankara says, is vachanam, you have to add. Etat vachanam provacha said the following words. And what are the words? Annam pranam chakshuhu Shotram Mano Vacham iti. Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shrotram, Mano, Vacham. What is it to mean? If you have listen to the introductory parts of this class, you should be able to tell me what does Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shrotram, Mano, Vacham mean. What does it indicate?
The koshas, the pancha koshas.
Go ahead and say
Annamaya kosha, pranamaya
one
kosha.
by one. Annam
Sorry.
represents
Annamaya kosha.
Annamaya kosha. Pranam represents
Pranamaya kosha.
Pranamaya kosha. Vacham represents
Vacham. Manomaya. No,
Vacham.
Vijnanamaya.
Vacham is a word. It's an action. Speaking.
Karmendriyas.
Karmendriyas.
Okay.
And Chakshuhu and Shrotram are Upalakshanam for Jnanendriyas. Okay.
Jnanendriya.
Then Manaha is the mind. So Manaha, now you have to combine. Manaha plus Jnanendriyani is which kosha? Is what?
Manomaya.
Manomaya.
Manomaya kosha.
Okay. So say these are the, and Shankara adds two words over here. Brahma upalabdhau dvarani. He says these are the doors to gaining Brahma Jnana. So in this manner, what has happened? This Annam Pranam Chakshrotam Mano Vacham iti. This is the teaching given by Varuna to his son. The teaching is about Panchakosha. Okay. Then what? Then he says Tagam Hovacha or Tam Hovacha. Right? Tagam is the Vedic Anuswara, but we'll convert it into normal Anuswara. Tam Hovacha. Tam refers to whom? Tam means to him. So to that Bhrigu, you have to add over here Varunam Hovacha. Varuna Uvacha. Varuna said, this is basically what has he taught? This is the Brahma Lakshanam, basically. The indicators of Brahman. That is what he has taught. So Tagum Hovacha, when he says, the mantra Moolam simply says Tagum Hovacha. And Shankara says you have to understand Tagum Hovacha as, Tagum Hovacha means what? He spoke to Bhrigu. Varuna taught Bhrigu. But Shankara says you should also know what he taught, right? So this Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, Shrotram, Manam, Mano, Vacham, this is the Brahma Lakshanam. Brahmanaha Lakshanam, he says. And when we talk about Lakshanams, especially in the context of Brahman, there are two types of Lakshanams. Do you know what they are? They should all know. You all see senior students.
Karupa Lakshanam, Tatastha Lakshanam.
Rupa Lakshanam, Tatastha Lakshanam. Now this Taittiriya is considered an extremely important Upanishad because in Taittiriya Upanishad, both the Lakshanams are given. Okay. Both Swarupam. I'm not explaining what is Swarupam and Tatastham. Anybody doesn't know, please speak up now and I can explain. I presume all of you are familiar with Swarupa Lakshanam and Tatastha Lakshanam.
How much I don't remember.
You don't remember. Okay. So let us say that, I live in a flat, okay? So, but let us say that I'm living in a nice little bungalow in Rishikesh. And then you come and say, Raviji, I want to visit you. Okay. So I tell you, you come on this so-and-so road and you will find 20 bungalows. And in front of one bungalow, you will find my blue car parked. The blue I-10 which I have, it is parked over there, steel blue. Okay. So you come and you see the car and then you come to my house. Now that steel blue car may not be there the next time when you come. right? Somebody may have gone for servicing, a wife may have taken in something, but you will still find the house. So that indicator which is not of permanent nature, that indicator is called Tathastha Lakshanam. But an indicator which is permanent in nature is called Swarupa Lakshanam. Now, what is here Annam, Pranam, Chakshus, Shotram, right? And this is the basic, Panchakosha Viveka. Now, if you look at Brahman as pure Brahman, we have already discussed the Swarupam. Where did we discuss the Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman? In this very Upanishad.
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma.
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Okay, the first Anuvaka of the last chapter. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is permanent. It does not change. That is Swarupa Lakshanam for Brahman. It has been discussed already. Now we are discussing what? We are discussing Brahman as Ishvara, Jagat Karanam. Jagat Karanam is Swarupam or Tathastha?
Esther.
Tathastha. Remember the word Tathastha literally means what? Tata. Tataha stha. Tataha is the banks of a river. And they are steady where they are. But if you are talking about the river, remember that when you say the banks of the river, it is always relative in time. If you take a particular volume of water, a particular chunk of water as the river, that is continuously flowing. So it is there between two sets of a bank, let us say at Rishikesh near the Lakshman Chula, right? After some time, you will find that same water is not there anymore. And therefore, that same water is the Rupam. The banks of the river are Tatastham because they are temporary. You can refer to the water and say, this, what is flowing here in between these two areas is the river. But that is Tatastha Lakshanam. River, really speaking, is Swarupa. Okay. And therefore, there are two definitions given over here. One is Tatastham and one is Swarupa. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. So, now we look at the next portion, which is actually the Tathastha Lakshanam. So, he says, Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishanti tad vijignyasasva tad brahmeti. Let's see what it means. Yatova. Okay. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. From that, what happens? Imani bhutani jayante. All these beings are born. Okay. And this is an extremely important mantra because the very second sutra of Brahma Sutra, which is a very, very important sutra, it is the definition of Brahman in Brahma Sutra. There the definition is Janmadhasya Yataha. Janma Adi Yataha Asya. From which everything else is born. From which this Asya, this world is born. Yataha means that from which Asya Janmadi. Janma, this world is born, and Adi means the other two things into which the world dissolves, by which the world is sustained. So that is the definition of Brahman given in Brahma Sutras. The very second sutra of the first chapter, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Yataha Asya Janma Adi. That from which everything is born, that by which everything is sustained, that into which everything dissolves. That second sutra is based on this mantra. So when we do the sutra, Brahma Sutras, we'll be doing a very exhaustive analysis of this particular mantra. This is the basic thing. And this Yatova definition has got three parts. Three parts, you cannot say, three aspects of Saguna Brahman based on three jobs which Saguna Brahman does. Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta, Layakarta. The creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer. So Yatova imani bhutani jayanti. Yataha means Brahmanaha, from Brahman. Now, bhutani can be taken in two meanings. What are they? The word bhutani can have two meanings.
Panchamahabhutani and Bhautikani.
Sorry?
Panchamahabhutani and Bhautikani.
No. Panchamahabhutani and the normal level, normal meaning of bhutani is what? Bhutas, living beings. Right, living beings. So it can have two meanings. Bhutani means Panchabhutani. It can also mean living beings. Okay. So many commentators take it as Panchabhutani. Shankara takes it as living beings. So Shankara says this Bhutani, Imani Bhutani, is to be taken as Brahma Adini, beginning from Brahmaji, Thamba Pariyantam, up to the smallest piece of grass, smallest blade of grass. Okay. Now again, of course, the grammatical point. When you write Thamba, you can write as the first B, or you can write as a second B. Stamba, the first B is living beings. Thamba, the second B is a pillar. Okay. So, of course, Shankara says, Brahmadini Thamba Paryantam Bhutani Jayante, which means it's all living beings alone. But you can also take it as Thamba, and that gives it the meaning of Panchamahabhutani also. So finally, you can take it as saying that all living and non-living beings, they emerge from that Brahman alone. Okay. Now, remember that many commentators say that Bhutani means Panchabhutani, but Shankara does not take this meaning, right? And now if you look at the mantra, I keep on saying context is the most important to analyze, extract the meaning. What is the context here? What is that one word in the context because of which Shankara gives it the meaning of living beings?
Because of that kosha discussion.
No, look at the context. The context is what you're seeing in front of you. This is Anuvaka. Look at the Anuvaka. Which is the word in the Anuvaka because of which Bhutani has to be taken as living beings.
Jivanti.
Very good. Yena jatani jivanti. Jivanti means because of which human beings are sustained or they live. And therefore, because of the word jivanti, that jivanti gives you the context that it is living beings only. And therefore, because of that, of which all living beings are existing, this is sthiti karanam. And therefore, imani bhutati jayante is srishti karanam. Okay. Then, yet prayanti abhisamvishanti. Yat into that Brahman, prayanti. At the time of pralayam, abhisamvishanti, totally merge. Everything totally merges into that Brahman. And therefore you have laya karanam also. So that this one, yatova imani bhutan jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhivachanti. This three mantra, lines of the mantra, they are talking about Shrishti Karanam, Sthiti Karanam, and Laya Karanam. And that is why we have three names: Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. It is the same Brahman, same Ishvara. Okay. Now this Brahman is defined in a the technical words used in Shastram for defining Brahman: Utpatti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam. Okay, this is what we are saying. What is the technical name for that? Another name, Upadana Karanam. Whenever you say Upadana Karanam, it is always Utpatti plus Sthiti plus Laya. Creation plus maintenance plus destruction. And if you use the word Nimitta Karanam, you are not conveying the meaning of all three. I hope the definition, I hope that idea is clear. If you are using the word Nimitta Karanam, you are not conveying the meaning of Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. You are conveying the meaning only of Srishti Karanam. Why do you say that? Give a normal example.
Nimit Karanam by itself is the changeless one, so it is only the creator in that case.
How? What is an example to convey that?
You
take.
don't take. Sorry.
Go ahead, Arunaji, boliye.
When we think of a potter, we don't take the potter home with us. He's only to create the pot, not to maintain it or destroy it.
Absolutely. The potter is needed only for creation of the pot. He is not needed there for the pot to exist, right? But the clay is needed for all the three functions: creation, existence, and destruction. And therefore, Nimitta Karanam, when you say, remember, you should use that word only when you are talking about Srishti. If you are talking about the three functions of Brahman or Ishvara, you have to use the word Upadana Karanam. Okay, or you can say Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, non-different Nimittam and Upadana Karanam. Right? And therefore, whenever we use the word Karanam, whenever you say Brahman is Karanam, remember that it is a Gauna Prayoga. Gauna Prayoga, figurative usage. Gauna Prayoga means figurative usage. So it's like saying, what? You take any name, any person who is a very important person in an organization, right? Now, who is an important person in an organization over here? I don't see anybody who's working here. It's okay. Okay, Natarajji. Natarajji is here, right? So we say Natarajji is the pillar of Sivananda Ashram, right? Now, a pillar has two functions. What are they? Two aspects. Descriptions are two. One is the pillar is the support. Another is the pillar does not move. Right? So when you say Natarajji is the pillar of the ashram, you should look for the common features, which is that he supports the ashram just as the pillar supports the ceiling. But don't look for the uncommon features, which is pillar does not move. So you can't say Natarajji also does not move. So this is called Sadharmyam and Vaidharmyam. Whenever you look for this figurative usage, you should always look at the connection where there is commonality, where there is a common feature. There will be uncommon features like the non-moving part that you should not take. Right. And therefore, when you say that Karanam is the substance, that the cause is the Upadana Karanam, Karyam, the product, is the Nama Rupam, what you are saying is that Brahman is Upadana Karanam, everything else is only Nama Rupa. Okay, that you should take. Why I give this example of Sadharmyam and Vaidharmyam, common features and non-common features, is because of this particular aspect. That when you say that clay is the karanam for upadana karanam for gold, there can be two aspects of it. One is that clay is the very substance. It is all pervading. It pervades all the pots. But, and that is the meaning we should take, that upadana karanam means all pervading. But there is another meaning. What is that? Which you should not take. What is that? You can still say clay is upadana karanam. There is another meaning. And that meaning is what? That clay, it undergoes a modification to become various pots. There is a shape, undergoes a modification. Thus, the word karanam conveys two meanings. One is the very substance, and one is vikaraha, modification. This aspect of modification you should not consider when you talk about Brahman as Jagat Karanam, because Shruti defines Brahman as Nirvikaraha, without change. And therefore, you should add the adjective Vivarta Upadana Karanam. So, whenever Brahman is discussed as Upadana Karanam, remember it is Vivarta Upadana Karanam, that which does not undergo a change at all. All other Upadana Karanams are what? Parinami Upadana Karanam. So this is what is being conveyed over here. And then he says, Tad Vijignyasasva. Tad Vijignyasasva. Through that Panchakosha, you should desire to know that Brahman. This is what Shruti is saying. Through the Panchakosha Viveka, you should know that Brahman. Okay. Shruti doesn't say that. Shankara adds, Tad Annadi Dwarena. Through the Annam, Pranam, Chakshu, etc., which Varuni said, Bhrigu should learn to understand what is Brahman. Now there is a question. This is the last one for the last bit of what do you call it? The last question for the day. There's a question not to you, but which we have to ask. Why does Varuna give Panchakosha as the method of knowing Brahman? There are so many prakriyas, right? Why does Varuna give only Panchakosha? Okay.
Because you connect to.
Because?
You connect to, like, because the Annamaya Kosha.
Okay. Now let's look at what the commentators say. So this Bhashyam on Taittiriya is by Shankaracharya. On Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, there are many sub-bhashyam, sub-commentaries. There is one by Anandagiri, very, very famous Acharya. There is something called Vanamala. All this you will find incidentally on the Sringeri website, in case you are interested. All these are there. Then there is one called Achyuta Krishna Tirtha. He has written a commentary called Vanamala. And of course, there is a commentary by Sureshwaracharya, who is also very famous Acharya. So they say, to put the views together, Shankara doesn't talk about it. So they commentators' views you have to take. They say that Shruti talks about here. Shruti talks about the origination of the universe from Brahman. Okay. And origination of universe means origination of Jiva. Because he says, Tatova imani bhutani jayante. The Jivas are also born from Brahman. But elsewhere, Shruti says that Jiva is Anadi. And therefore there is a question. If Shruti says that Jiva is not born, Anadi, how can Shruti say, Yatova imani bhutani jayante? What is the answer?
That Brahman is eternal.
That may be, but Jiva is also eternal. Then in that case, how can imani bhutani jayante?
Maybe he's referring the cycle of creation of jivas has been always there, no beginning and no end. So in that sense, jivas has been always there.
Yeah, but imani bhutani jayante means jivas are born from that Brahman.
Maybe
So it's talking about
the pancha, the gross level of it. Ideally, it's not the creation. Yeah.
Go ahead. Put it in the right words.
The pancha mahabhutas and the jivas,
Upadis.
upadis. Yeah.
Okay, remember that Imani Bhutani Jayante, he's talking from the physical body point, Upadi point. So the Jivas have got Aupadika Janma, Janma from the Upadi point, but they don't have Vastivika Janma. They don't have a real Janma at all, because Jiva is not different from Brahman. And therefore, Shankara, this Varuni knows this, that Jiva is not different from Brahman. Brahman is the essential component of all Jivas. And therefore, if you have to look for Brahman, you don't have to go anywhere. What is the closest thing which you can look at? Your own body. And that is why Varuna gives Panchakosha teaching. Search for Brahman in your own body. So this particular aspect, looking at the Panchakoshas, Varuna is saying that he's telling you where to search. Where to search for that Brahman. Okay. Then the last part is Satapotapyat Satapastaptva. So Satapotapyaha Atapyataha. That Bhrigu, Atapyataha means performed, Atapaha, he performed tapas. And Sa Tapastaptva. Okay, what was this Vidya that he received? Brahma Lakshanam. The definition. Therefore, it was the knowledge of Brahman. And Shankara says that very door it was. You open the door and you find Brahman there. And then why did Bhrigu do tapas? Because the mantra doesn't say that Varuna instructed Bhrigu to do tapas. The mantra doesn't say that. Why did Bhrigu do tapas?
So, Acharyaji, here the word tapas is signifying the contemplation, the concentration of the mind, only thinking about how it is and then being able to realize, claim oneself to be Brahman and realize it in himself.
Okay, one answer. Anybody else? Why did Bhrigu do tapas? Because Varuna never said you do tapas. Now, if you look at the entire Anuvaka so far, you should get the answer. And therefore, I will leave this as homework for you. Okay. Come back onto the group, think about it. You have up to next Friday. Let me know what made Bhrigu go and do tapas. So with this, we'll stop for the day. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om
Thank you, Acharya. Thank you, Acharya.